Douglas Luiz is the #1 midfield target this January for Arsenal Football Club. A big update from Fabrizio Romano plus other journalists. We're also touching on Manchester United. We're looking at Donny van der Beek's exit. We're looking at Chelsea and Man United fighting out for one of the hottest young properties in European football as well. Plus, the asking price for Ivan Toney, according to some media outlets, has been set. But hit like buttons, subscribe to the Football Terrace, give us your thoughts and feelings below, and let's jump into this. Now, Fabrizio Romano tweeted, and I want to read out his tweet here, that Douglas Luiz remains Arsenal's favourite option as a midfielder. He's considered the perfect player. So Arteta looks at him and thinks, that man is who I'm going to put my trust into to give the midfield the extra bite, the extra power, the extra creativity to try and win the Premier League, to try and win the Champions League. Also, it isn't just about what he views in the here and now. It's what he sees Douglas Luiz for the future. Now, Aston Villa, of course, come out and updated Fabrizio on this and said that they remain on their position, that they don't want to sell Douglas Luiz. No change since November. And I love the word that Fabrizio uses here. Is yet. Yet. Very open-ended. And this is going to be a very interesting transfer to stay close to over the course of January. Because Aston Villa may view themselves as being in the title race. They may think, why on God's green earth are we going to consider for a second selling one of our most important, potent, and deadly players? Why would we do that? And that is a fair argument to have. On the other hand, what if Douglas Luiz wants to go? Is it conducive to keep a player in your team, in your squad, when he's pandering, when he's pining for something different elsewhere? Could you not bring in a good sum, buy a replacement, or reinvest that money in another area, and almost use his exit as a galvanizing tool for your team? It's going to be a real intriguing one to look at. Also, Raheem Osman, very credible journalist here, says that Arsenal are in talks with Douglas Luiz. He's the #1 target for a midfielder in January. So different feeling here that not only is he's saying that he's an option and a top option, but that talks to the player have begun. And remember, atypically, conversations happen with the players first, ever before the clubs talk. Because if a player doesn't say yes, what's the point of wasting time negotiating with the club? But Gooners, rivals, Villa fans as well, what do you make of this transfer story? How do you see this panning out at this moment in time over the course of January? Now, kind of staying with Arsenal and Chelsea as well. This here is on Sky Sports website, and it refers to information from TalkSport that suitors of Brentford in-demand striker Ivan Toney have reportedly been warned they will need to pay at least £100 million for his services. Reports from TalkSport say the Bees would want a 9-figure fee for the 27-year-old. Arsenal and Chelsea are both believed to be considering a move for Toney. Look, he's not worth £100 million, in my opinion, as brilliant as he is. Would you pay it? That's the first question. If you're a Gooner, if you're a Chelsea fan, would you invest that amount of money in a player like him? From an Arsenal perspective, it may be 20 million, 30 million pounds over the market value of Toney. But if that means you could win the Premier League this year, is that worth an additional 50 million, 30 million pounds, 40 million pounds compared to what you may pay in the summer of 2024? Should money be the factor that you focus on? At the same time, if you pay for him, could that become a precedent for other deals in the future? Could, over a longer period of time, that become a damning factor for Arsenal? It's something for them to weigh up. Chelsea's scenario, is it worth £100 million in January? They do struggle often to put the ball into the back of the net. Ivan Toney, a lot of us believe he will be prolific at a higher level as he is now at Brentford. But £100 million is a hell of a lot of money. Could that be reinvested in other areas of the team? I want to get your opinion on this. Because for me, we're getting into that realm now with Ivan Toney where I'm starting to think 100 million. Is there going to be a return on that investment? Is he going to be a £100 million player? Is there somebody else for 60, 70 million that could come in and be almost as good as him, saving you 30, 40 million to invest elsewhere? And if you do believe he's worth it, and this is what I love about these videos sometimes, people call me out for one suggestion or train of thought and they don't listen to the rest of the video. I think they stop watching and comment and then leave, which is a very weird thing to do, in my opinion. But if you believe he's worth that much money, do you think your club will spend it on him? If so, why? If not, equally, explain to us your rationale behind that. But that right now is what they're saying the asking price is. Do you think it will be met? Who will pay it? Let us know in the comment sections below. Now, staying with Chelsea and Manchester United here, this is an interesting story that I read today because this player excites me. He really excites me. Watched him play this year for Copenhagen, done a fair amount of research on him, and there is quality here in a player whose name I want to pronounce is Roony. I don't know if it's after the great Wayne Rooney, but his name is Roony Bardghji is how I think it's pronounced. And it says here that Chelsea are desperate to win the race to sign the explosive Man United and Tottenham target who haunted Erik ten Hag and the Blues transfer pitch ahead of a potential January move. He did haunt us, that goal at the end. Man United failed Champions League campaign was a disastrous start from start to finish. The Red Devils here returned a record of 1 win, 1 draw, 4 defeats. Their 4-point tally was only good enough for last place, and United were not even transferred into the Europa League. Undoubtedly, the biggest disappointment was losing 4-3 to Danish side Copenhagen on the 8th of November. United had, of course, a 2-0 lead and a 3-2 lead, though Copenhagen's dramatic comeback was completed in the 87th minute by the 18-year-old Roony Bardghji. Now, it goes on to talk about a lot of Premier League clubs have been watching him, looking at him, monitoring him. Listen, you can never tell at 18 how good a player is going to become. We could all have a guesstimate of how good he'll be. We could all say, yeah, I think he'll work in the Prem. I don't think he'll work in the Prem. We could all list the players that we've guessed will do well who have. We could also probably, people that dislike us could probably list all the players we predict to do well that have failed. And you'll probably find it's even, really. But this kid has got magic in his boots. And if he keeps his feet on the ground, if he works hard, if he continues to improve himself, there is a supreme talent in this young man. There really, really is. He's left-footed, but he plays predominantly on the right-hand side, can play centrally. And maybe I'm just caught up in this because of Anthony never using his right foot. And I often focus now when looking at right-sided attackers. Can he go on the outside? And Rooney does. He does go on the outside. And it's imperative for us. We're linked recently to Rafinha. We're now linked to this man. And I've been doing a lot of soul searching about what Man United need in January. And I want to see us address some of our major problem areas. And I do think we need another striker. I do think we need backup in the defense. I also think that our right side of our attack has been a real problem since 2009. We had a couple of year period where Valencia was doing well and Nani was stepping up. But outside of that, it has been pretty weak for a long, long period of time. And I'm not suggesting an 18-year-old is the answer to all our prayers from today and forever. I think you need to bring in experience as well. But this is one of those young signings, which his name has already started to resonate across the world, predominantly for scoring that winning goal against Manchester United. But with the recruitment team Man United are looking to bring in, he is the type of player that we should be looking to add. This is the type of young, raw talent we should be adding to this squad, along with some established stars. From a Chelsea point of view, look, I get Chelsea wanting him. I really do. I will say this, and this is not coming from a place of I want him, I don't want you to have him. And that's very much a case of, I want to make sure I say this in the right way. I think Chelsea needs to focus on experienced players. Bringing in another 18-year-old, I just don't see how it improves them. They need players with experience who have been around the block. Now, of course, I quite like this talent. I'd love him at Man United, but I'm also being honest here. I think Chelsea needs something very different, in my personal opinion. But let me know what you think and feel below. Now, another story that's going around today, as we all know, finally, the medical is done, and Donny van der Beek will be leaving Manchester United and going to Frankfurt. And I wanted to say this about him. I've seen a lot of Man United fans tweet, oh my God, I can't believe we ruined him. I can't believe what we've done to him. And I wish him good luck in the future. And this notion that Man United don't like technical football players, I don't necessarily think it's true. Until his injury, Sandro Martinez is a technical defender. And he's flourishing at Manchester United, or he was. Donny van der Beek just wasn't made for the Premier League. He wasn't made for the speed. He wasn't made for the power. You know, he went off on loan, didn't do anything. He got his favorite manager who made him famous through Ajax came in, barely played. I know he got a bad knee injury last year. And I'm as gutted as the next person that it didn't work out. But in my personal feeling, it didn't work out, partly because the club is run like crap and every player fouls, but also I just don't think he's suited to the Premier League. There are other players like Jadon Sancho, who I think there's more of an argument because other top clubs would want to buy him now if he's up for sale. Other top clubs want to buy him. You know, it's not as though that all the top clubs are going, nah, I don't see anything. That should be your answer. Who wants to buy you? Who wants to loan you? But I do wish him well. I want him to go away and succeed. I want him to move on to pastures new, and more players like this who don't have a future at United for one reason or another, we have to look for them to move on. I'm not going to do the whole tit for tat or why is he leaving before this guy? I can't be bothered to throw any more negativity over my football club, but I'm just glad to see him on his way out. Listen, people, I appreciate you all tuning in as ever. You know how much I appreciate it, how humbling it is for me. Please smash the like button, subscribe, and you know what? We'll see you all again very, very soon.